President Trump just saved the regime from absolute collapse. It's just a fact.
Did you say Islamic Republic has no intention of building a bomb? Come on.
What is Trump trying to negotiate, if not a deal? And if it's a deal, then my point to you is your guy is not doing what some Iranians around the world had hoped your guy would do, right?
Very clear. Trump is asking for a complete surrender, unconditional. This is his words. Unconditional surrender.
They should have gone forward. They should have killed Khamenei. They should have taken out the top brass. They should have taken out whoever is in the RDC.
Make Iran great again is not in Farsi.
Okay, forget the slogan.
Make Iran great again was Reza Shah Ruhat Shah. That was
all right. And what happened to that?
Oh, look what America has done for the world. They go to countries and steal their oil and complete nonsense bullcrap, I say.
Khamenei has to be taken out. The whole regime has to be taken out. And what I would say in the end is, be patient. We're not done yet.
It's July 3, 2025. This is Roqe. Hi there, welcome to episode 379 of Roqe. I'm Jian Ghomeshi. Hello to you from Toronto. Hello to you from Canada. Salam Dustan Aziz. Durud bar shoma. Hope you're doing well wherever you are tuning in from around the world. So the fog of conflict may have lifted, but the questions remain, and the answers are as elusive as ever. If you may recall, in mid-June, not that long ago, with rockets flying and tensions peaking in what would become the 12-day Israel-Iran war, Donald Trump, never shy with a slogan, dropped a familiar one into the digital ether, MIGA, M-I-G-A, make Iran great again. And just like that, a catchphrase became a call to arms of sorts, or so it seemed. From Telegram groups to protest chants to clubhouse rooms to diaspora dinner tables, the acronym caught fire. Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi invoked it. Artists hashtagged it. Activists rallied around it. Suddenly, MIGA wasn't just a meme. It was a movement. Or was it? Because within days, a ceasefire, no regime collapse, no revolution, and a chilling new tone of crackdowns inside the Islamic Republic. And then came the question nobody wanted to ask, was MIGA just a mirage? So today on Roqe, we gather two sharp, seasoned minds, united again on this program, albeit on different sides of a political fence, each with deep experience in the American political machine and a passion for Iran's future, to ask, is Make Iran Great Again still a serious goal, or has it already been shelved in the bargain bin of delusional diaspora dreams? Has this past month galvanized the opposition or fractured its momentum? And perhaps most crucially, if not now, when? We are coming to you on roqemedia.com. It's there that you can see all of our back episodes, including the full unedited interview with Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi, the debate about what now from last week, and the exclusive recent interviews with Andy, with Nimani, with Dora Derakhshani. It's there if you can go to roqemedia.com. You can also link to all of our platforms from there. We're on Spotify and SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts and Instagram and CastBox. If you like to see visuals with Roqe, switch over to YouTube right now if you're not already watching this for the full video experience. And if you like your Roqe descriptions and bulletins in both English and in Persian, check us out on Telegram. Today's episode of Roqe is brought to you with the support of Tika. Tika is a results-driven platform offering telecom solutions, lead generation, and digital marketing for businesses that want to grow and stand out. Tika helps businesses grow by making it easier to connect with people. They provide business phone services, SMS marketing, advertising tools, and creative content to help companies get noticed and bring in more customers, whether they're small local shops or growing brands. Think about, for example, how you could promote your business if your info is being sent by text into people's pockets. Tika is all about helping you reach people more simply and effectively. At its core, Tika is a customer generating machine. Thanks again to Tika. You can find Tika at Tikatel, Tikatel, on Instagram. And all right, let me get to our guests for this episode. Here we go. First up, he's a Democratic-leaning Iranian-American lawyer, national security analyst, and political commentator who brings a razor-sharp legal mind and a formidable media presence to every conversation. Ari Aramesh is the founder of Aramesh Law and has represented clients in both federal and state courts, as well as in high-stakes arbitration and mediation proceedings. Educated at Stanford Law School, the London School of Economics, and UC Berkeley, he's contributed to the New York Times, The Huffington Post, Stanford Lawyer Magazine, and more. Ari is a frequent voice, as you may know, on CNN, MSNBC, BBC, Fox News, Al Jazeera, where he tackles complex global issues ranging from Iran policy to national security and civil liberties issues in the States. Currently based in Washington, D.C., no stranger to spirited debate. Welcome back to Roqe, Ari Aramesh.
Good to be with you. Just a quick correction. Aramesh Law has folded into a bigger platform. I'm a managing partner now for the DC and LA offices of Whitcomb and Selinsky. So
we can't keep up with your rocket ship like growth, Ari. It's from just the last time you were on to now. Congratulations on the upgrade. And he is a seasoned public servant, a businessman, and a strategist with a formidable resume himself that spans U.S. administrations and global boardrooms. Bijan Kian is a former senior official in the U.S. government, confirmed twice by the U.S. Senate, and served under Presidents George W. Bush, Barack Obama, and Donald Trump. He's chaired oversight committees and advised on foreign investment and economic development, both in California and nationally. Educated in the U.K. at the University of Brighton and later at institutions including Harvard, Oxford, and MIT. Bijan has lectured at places like the National Defense University and the University of British Columbia, known for his unflinching perspective on Iran policy and freedom movements. And joining us today from California, welcome back, Bijan Kian.
Good to be with you, Jian, and thank you for arranging this. And it's always great to see my good friend, Ari Aramesh, who is a very, very formidable, I don't want to say opponent, but a debate partner. So I'm happy to be here with you and Ari at a very, very timely time. There's a war going on. Nobody can celebrate wars or advocate for them or justify them. It's a bad thing altogether. But if there's casus belli, it becomes inevitable. And as painful as it is, we'll sit down and hope that it will end with less civilian casualties and less collateral damage, and that the result of it makes the situation a little better than we started it.
Fair enough. First of all, it's great to have the band back together. It's nice to see you both for another debate here. Bijan, that wasn't going to be my first question, but you say there's a war going on. Is there still a war going on? I thought that there was a so-called ceasefire.
Well, if you want to believe the diplomatic line that there is a ceasefire, I will join you. I like the feeling, but what ceasefire? No, there is a full-on war going on. Xian, let me just share just a quick picture of what's on my mind and definition of wars. Wars in the agricultural age was to go and capture land and hold it, and it required, swords drawn and whatever instruments were used to do that. In the industrial age, only the tools changed. Still, we went there to capture land and hold it. In the information age, we don't do that anymore. What we do is we want to change behavior of the opponent and force our political will over another entity. The way we do it is by capturing their minds. In other words, street language, we play with their minds. We will make him confused. We will make him think about other things while we're doing other things. This is the era we're in. And is there a war going on? Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a war going on according to the definitions applicable to the information age.
Okay,
Yes,
so
there is war.
it's an elastic definition of war. I understand. It doesn't necessarily. It's not the kind where rockets are being, where missiles are being shot at each other currently. Ari, do you agree with Bijan so far with that assessment that there's a war going on?
Before I get to the less happy or sadder parts of the discussion, it's always my days get always better when I know I'm debating Bijan, because I either have something to look forward to and I know I'm going to learn a lot of stuff. And so it's hard to disagree with him, especially on Iran policy, because as a Democrat, you as a Republican, we have a lot in common, and and I'll get to sort of the parts that are less so. But it's good to be here, and especially it's good to be with you, Jian, and also to have the pleasure of being able to discuss matters with Bijan, whose wealth of experience, especially in the Iranian-American community, is unparalleled. So that is something to take away from this. I agree with Bijan's assessment, without a doubt. I think there are various ways wars can be defined. I do have issues with the objectives each war or each conflict serves. Sometimes, as Clausewitz would say, wars are there to serve themselves, and I'm paraphrasing. The end goal for war is the client that a war serves is the war itself. But he would also say that politics is war by their means. So there are various ways to sort of define that.
Okay. Okay.
In terms of what's going on, I think there is a fragile ceasefire. There's no peace treaty. The same way there's a fragile ceasefire, let's say, between South Korea and North Korea. This is even a more fragile ceasefire, because one country has absolute dominance over another country's airspace, and the other country has a leader who's still in the rat hole, hasn't come up yet. So whenever he comes up to get some air,
so let me ask the first question, which I wanted to ask around, which will segue us into a conversation about MIGA or MIGA, or however we can say it that doesn't get us into trouble. But I mean, after the ceasefire, fragile as it may be, after the executions that have then followed, after the silence. Ari, starting with you, I mean, just in terms of a brief starting question, after the events of the last 3 weeks, do you feel like the movement for change in Iran has been set back, or has something more subtle and long-term been set in motion?
I always think the Iranian people have such high, strong ambitions for freedom and democracy and rule of law. And I'll let Bijan talk more about that, because he just knows so much more in that arena and about that topic. I want to talk about the stop, sort of what happened for the conflict to stop. And I want to give you an example. Let's say President Biden calls Benjamin Netanyahu and forces him to stop a 12-day war, and says, hey, I'm going to have my Secretary of Defense, General Lloyd Austin, draw plans to bomb Iran's nuclear facilities. So Benjamin, your excuse, your reason that Iran is going towards nuclear weapons is, it's like, no, I want regime change, but I'm bombing Iran for regime. No. I want to end this war. I kept saying, I gave these guys, and this is Biden talking, right? I gave these guys 60 days. Stay 61 without really getting a green light. Just gave me a little heads up and started bombing. You pushed my hand. I want you to stop this. I'm going to get the B-2s in the air. I'm going to, hit the Iranians, but I'm going to stop. And heck with them, whoever gets executed. I still want a war. I want to be the peace president. You would have a massive uprising on Iranian social media. Trump gets a pass. Trump just did that. Trump forced, right or wrong, he made Netanyahu. I do not think he wants absolute surrender. I don't think Trump discusses things in those terms. I think Trump really wanted a deal. He has said it time and time over. He wants a deal. More hawkish parts of the Republican Party, with whom I agree. And again, the Democratic Party on this issue is far worse. So don't get me started. I mean, I don't want to go to the foreign policy of Ilhan Omar and Barbara Lee, or there are a few Democrats who are good. Adam Schiff is good. Brad Sherman is good. You got guys. Oshnalaws, I think he's from Massachusetts. Good. Rest of them not that great. Isolationists, defeatists. And the isolationism on the left, or at least on the Democratic side, comes from whatever America does is bad. Oh, we go to wars and destroy these countries and we steal their, natural resources. They don't see all the good America does. And on the right now, especially the Marjorie Taylor Greene types and the Laura Boebert types and the Tucker Carlson types says, who are these brown people we're going to save? And we're going to use American blood and treasure to go, use these. No, America first. They're both so wrong. And unfortunately, the school of thought, the John McCain's and Joe Lieberman's of the world, who may rest in peace. I think Bijan had the pleasure of meeting them both on numerous occasions. I only met Joe Lieberman once, never met John McCain. They would say that America first means American foreign policy first, and also there should be a democracy agenda. And I strongly believe in that. So I think Trump made a huge mistake if the goal is to force Ayatollah to surrender, no, he should have stopped Netanyahu, but he didn't. He wants a peace agenda, and I'm all for it. But again, he hasn't managed to get that in Ukraine. Putin is not listening to him anymore.
Sorry, are you all for a peace agenda if it means the regime staying in place as it currently is?
No, far from it. I think I've been very clear, and I've been taking a lot of backlash from my own party and also some of the isolationists on the right and some of the people who are now all of a sudden became hardcore patriots. Like, oh, every war is bad. No, I want this regime gone. This is a cancerous tumor in the region. The same way I wanted more pressure on Assad, the same way I wanted to choke Hezbollah and Hamas, the same way I want to go after the Russian aggression in Eastern Europe, the same way we want to build up our military in the Pacific and make sure that there will be no Chinese aggression. You let go of little aggressive moves by petty dictators like Khamenei, who runs a Mickey Mouse shop. He's not Putin, he's not Kim Jong-un, he's not Xi. The Khamenei dictatorship is a Mickey Mouse dictatorship, but still is killing people, right? You let those guys get away. How are you going to save Taiwan? How are you going to save when Europe gets attacked by Russia in a few years? Those are my concerns, and I think President Trump, and I admit later to some of the good stuff he's done, he really dropped the ball here. And I think we should be objective. I criticize my party. I think we should all criticize our own, respective party if the leader of that party makes such huge mistakes.
Let me bring in Bijan. You've said a lot, Ari, for Bijan to respond to. If you can do so briefly, Bijan. Interesting to hear a Democrat saying that Trump dropped the ball. He should have kept going rather than a so-called ceasefire in terms vis-a-vis what it would mean for Iran. Do you believe he dropped the ball, Bijan?
No, I don't, because the story is not ended yet. This is not the end of the movie. And to be able to determine whether they did the right thing or the wrong thing, we got to wait. We can't make that determination halfway through the movie. It's not ended yet, as I mentioned in the beginning. But, Jian, you mentioned a few things. Number one, MAGA. MAGA. Is MAGA going to stick? Well, we don't know. Let's see. Let me take you back to January 2017, Trump's White House. Colonel Derek Harvey, who was on the National Security Staff, drafted a Nowruz message that was so different from all the other Nowruz messages, especially the ones President Obama used to. Remember, President Obama used to say, "I'd like to congratulate to people and the leadership of Islamic Republic." Well, some people hated that. Well, Derek Harvey wrote a very, very glorious statement that took us back to the time of Cyrus and Darius and the glory of the past. And that's the beginning. If you want to know, what was on President Trump's mind, that Nowruz message may be a good indicator of what he had in his mind when he talks about the glory of the past. I'll bring you to most recent tweets by Trump, where he said, well, if Islamic Republic is not capable of taking Iran back or taking Iran to its glory point, well, maybe regime change is not such a bad idea, although it's politically incorrect. So those are two data points that I think are useful in understanding what's on Trump's mind and what he means by the glory of the
But
past.
Bijan,
Now,
what's he actually doing? I mean, you have to wonder if real politique hasn't taken over the tough talk, right? That there's some sense of like we'll enable this regime, we'll keep it in power, and we'll maintain the status quo to avoid destabilization. We don't care about the Iranian people.
Now maybe your reading, but your reading is wrong in my view because facts are missing. You're just sending out opinions, which is respectable. Of course, you're entitled to it, but this is not what happened.
No. Hang on a second. There
No,
is
you
a there
can
is
tell
a
me what
he
happened the
did
way I
he
see
did
it.
take he
Tell me
did
what
take
happened.
he
Now,
took he took
if
the
you ask a question and don't let me answer,
What, wait, but
you can have the program on your own.
let me clarify. He took the pedal off the metal for sure, and you're quoting his tweets. I mean, his tweets have included, "Let's allow China to buy oil from Iran, and maybe we can send a bunch of money to Iran, and I want to get a deal done." So if we're taking him by his word,
Jian, I'm sorry, you have a point, and you're trying to drive it, ramrod it into this. No. Let me tell you what happened.
Okay.
Let me tell you what happened. The war gave the control of Iran's sky to other powers. They lost. Araghchi ran to Oman and said, sorry, we're ready to talk. Please stop. Let's keep the face. Trump went to Netanyahu and said they're ready to get on their knees and surrender. Let's stop. Send the plane back. And he did that because that made sense when you're negotiating and the counterparty says, I'm on my knees. I'm on my knees. It doesn't look good to continue the war. So that was the sensible thing to do. Now, when Khamenei came out and lied and said we won the war, Trump took his respect, took his robe of respect off, made him naked. That's why I say war is going on and war of words going on. Khamenei has a divine status. He is the representative of the 12th Imam on earth. Trump killed that with his speech the other day. And the reason the war was stopped, the reason this happened was because it makes diplomatic sense. The party says, I'm on my knees. I'm ready to surrender. Stop the war. But then continues in other ways. So
diplomatic. I need to can I clarify?
Will make the Democrats happy. You're entitled to that, but that's not how it happens.
Can you clarify what you're talking about when you're saying negotiations and diplomatic sense? I mean, what is Trump trying to negotiate, if not a deal? And if it's a deal, then my point to you is your guy is not doing what some Iranians around the world had hoped your guy would do, right?
Very clear. Trump is asking for a complete surrender, unconditional. This is his words, unconditional surrender. And if you think anything else is happening, then I need to know the facts. The facts are in front of us. Islamic Republic has been defeated completely, has one choice, complete surrender. And if you see it other ways, I'm ready to hear.
Ari, do you see it any other way? Oh, there you go.
Sorry, I lost contact, but I'm back. Okay, yeah, I do see it another way, and I see it as the Islamic Republic is defeated, but it hasn't surrendered. They're still very much firmly in control, and they're killing people, and they're executing people day and night. And I think President Trump, he was worried about regional conflict and was getting pressured by Qatar and by UAE and by Saudis that you got to stop this because it's going to get out of control. Iran was running out of missiles. Netanyahu was hitting Sadat Sima, the Iranian TV station. They were hitting IRGC bases. They hit the police headquarters. But they didn't surrender. They came to the negotiating table, and they're still in power, and that's what they got. And I think, again, when a president says, I want you to sell oil to the Chinese, I want to make you one of the richest countries on earth, you're a man of faith. Yeah, and he says some stuff like...
He changes his mind the next day, like the spring weather, Ari. He changes his mind. Don't stick to the sell oil to China. It doesn't exist.
Right, no.
He has to do it, not the president.
I get that he changes his mind, and I think that's another problem here, that he does change his minds quite often, and there's no set policy, and there's no...
That's part of his policy.
There's no... Yeah, he's an agent of chaos, and that is not good. I mean, on the one hand, we withdraw support for the Ukrainians. For today, we stopped selling them. I mean, if we're short on ammo and munitions, we should order more. These are American jobs, American dollars getting spent. I don't know why we can't make more 155 millimeter rounds and missiles and sell more and give more to the Ukrainians and keep some for ourselves. It's again, we can do both. Let me go back to the Iran situation. I really think the defeatist, isolationist wing of the Republican Party, which is now in the majority, that's the Tucker Carlson wing, that's the J.D. Vance wing. SecDef Hegseth doesn't really have much of an opinion. He just says whatever the president says, and he just bows down. Rubio would be on the more hawkish side, but he is now, again, he's the president's chief diplomat. But look at what happened. One of the most hawkish players in the administration, former National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, he was sacked, and he was sacked because he was talking to the Israelis about coordinating strikes. They sent him to the UN. They sent him to exile, into the UN. The president knows he's going to have problems with his base, even though he runs the base like a cult, but he's going to have problems with the base. Again, I'm not even going to go talk about the devastating views of the Democratic Party. Don't get me wrong. I mean, let's put that aside. So this is in no way, and I'm in the absolute minority within the Democrats when it comes to taking a much more aggressive approach towards bad rogue elements like the Iranian regime. But the fact is, the president stopped Netanyahu. The president pulled back. The president wants peace. The president, given an opportunity, would invite Pezeshkian to the White House, and he would go meet Khamenei. That is as sad as it gets. And you know what? You're right, Bijan Kian. I wish this wasn't right, but I think you're right. He does change his mind quite often. I think the last person John Bolton was saying this the other day, the president forms his mind based on the last person he talks to. And I honestly wish the last person he talked to was you, because then we would have much better policy in the White House, Bijan Kian. So that's I truly regret that is not
like that. But there's an environment here that really you gotta consider, Jian. Your listeners are going to be very focused on what they think, what makes sense. They're going to be divided. There are those who say this war set back, as you suggested, the democratic movement. What democratic movement? Please tell me. Give me 10 measurable metrics that you would say, you see, things were going really well. We were really doing well. And this government was making some changes towards reforms, and you started a war and messed everything up. Please,
no.
educate.
Can I answer your question? Let me answer your question by asking you a question. There was this moment. It was 24 hours, 48 hours, where President Trump threw this little bone out there of MAGA, and as you know, it was enthusiastically picked up by a significant cohort of opposition to the current regime in Iran, not necessarily because they buy into some slogan or something like that, but as this idea of, okay, this is the moment, and I think you could make a reasonable argument that there was some momentum, as short as it was, around that. Some thought it was absolutely nuts, delusional. What are you guys talking about? The regime is nowhere near on its knees, etc. But there was a bunch of people who were saying, okay, this feels like the moment. There's momentum. These IRGC folks are being taken out. The regime is weakened. Maybe this is the moment. I'll tell you what I'm hearing from people as I sit here, and we get a lot of different comments coming at us, is a great sense over the last week or two of deflation, that there was this opportunity, as Ari has intimated, that was lost because of the actions of President Trump.
I don't understand a word of what you're saying, Jian. What opportunity was lost? Speak about that, not just the slogan. What opportunity was lost exactly?
Well,
people of Iran shouted loudly, Reza Shah, Ruhat Shah. That was their MAGA. Why are you picking on this four-letter word that may or may not have any relevance? It's in English. Make Iran great again is not in Farsi.
Okay, forget the slogan.
Make Iran great again was Reza Shah, Ruhat Shah. That was
all right. And what happened to that? And what happened to that? Well, I mean, that's the point. Forget the slogan if you want. It's alive.
Still alive.
Okay,
Very much
that's
alive.
I would suggest that there are people who do not feel that way, who feel like that when Prince Reza Pahlavi made the case that the regime is on its knees, and there was a lot of emotion around that, there was a lot of excitement around that hasn't been borne out. And as you know, there's a lot of people saying, well, that was a ridiculous thing to say, because clearly we're back where we started or worse. So that's what I'm asking you. Tell us why that's not the case. Tell us why you think we're closer.
Republic will never be the same again of what it was before these 12 days. If you want to hear that, I'll say that with a high confidence, 100% confidence. If not, bring reasons for me that Islamic Republic today is the same as what it was 11 or 12 days ago, even if in its power to oppress people, to kill people, to jail people, even that.
Which it's currently doing. Which it's currently doing. The jailing and executing and all of that, right?
It's not sustainable.
Okay. Ari?
I understand where the sort of disconnect is, and I get it. I think, and again, I'm going to voice again a very unpopular sort of notion, unpopular belief of mine or thought that at least in the Democratic Party and in many places in the Republican Party, why didn't we continue killing more IRGC cadre? I'm not talking conscripts. I'm talking about 06s and up, colonels and up. Colonels, brigadiers, and major generals. They killed a few. They should have killed them all. And I'm saying this on the record. This is the IRGC, one of the most potent, notorious, disgusting terrorist organizations on earth. I applauded the president when he took out Qasem Soleimani, one of the most evil men that walked this planet. Probably had more American blood on his hands than Osama bin Laden. Close, at least.
I can answer that question when you're done.
Oh yeah.
I
think continuing that would have been better. So let's put it this way again. If President Biden had done any of this, if President Biden had said, I stopped Netanyahu from killing Khamenei and I saved your life, and I saved your life numerous times, I think Republicans, especially the Iranian MAGA supporters that for some reason they have this sort of infatuation with President Trump, they would have been up in arms saying, oh, look, another Democrat, Carter, Biden, Hussein Obama, and they keep saying that stuff. But truth is, again, not that Biden was that great, President Trump saved the regime. And he stopped going forward, and he just wants a peace, and I don't think that's sustainable. I hope I'm wrong, and again, for the last time, I really wish people giving him advice in Iran were different, and the person
Ari, can I, Bijan John, I'm going to let you respond. Let me just ask Ari, why do you believe it? It's interesting. We had a guest last week on our panel who said one of the reasons why this fell apart in terms of being this is his perspective, in terms of being a rallying point, etc., was that they didn't finish the job, or so to speak, by killing Khamenei. Ari, if you were to speculate, why would you say, with all this intelligence, with all what they did, why didn't they take out Khamenei?
The Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, and all that stuff is still in the back of American minds. They think, again, we're not going to commit any boots to the ground, but they think if you break it, in the words of Colin Powell, another Bijan's friends, so that's another sort of. I'm sorry, I'm bringing up all these dead men, but they were great men, and so you break it, you own it. I think they're concerned and they worry about instability. I don't think that's going to be the case. You decapitate Iran and decapitate the Islamic Republic. You kill Khamenei, you kill his sons. They are very much involved in power. They're not innocent civilian bystanders. Let's be clear. You take out the top brass of the IRGC and you'll see what's left. I'm not sure if somebody from outer space is going to come out there and unify people, so on and so forth. I don't know, and I can't speak to that because I don't know much about I don't know much about the opposition. But I can tell you this: I think the Iranian society and the government, for that matter, has enough institutions in place that it would not turn into chaos. You're not going to have Iraq. And again, we don't have boots on the ground. I think they were worried about that. Trump thought he's going to break it, he's going to own it. He doesn't want to have another Iraq or Afghanistan. And these are so different from one another. The same thing that the left says, oh, look what America has done for the world. They go to countries and steal their oil, and complete nonsense bullcrap, I say. To the apologists on that side and to the defeatists on this side. They should have gone forward. They should have killed Khamenei. They should have taken out the top brass. They should have taken out whoever is in the IRGC upper echelons of and the coercive apparatus. And that is very much supported by, you want to say it's against international law and all that. It's not. I mean, these people are, they were going aggressively towards nuclear weapons. And guess what? They get it. We're going to have much bigger problems. And now they're going underground. Khamenei is still in power. The regime may not have control over its airspace, but it definitely has control over Zindan Qas and Evin and Gwahadash, and it's killing people. And it's taking revenge, and it's showing, hey, I may not be able to shoot down Israeli planes, but I can certainly execute hundreds of innocent Iranians on charges of espionage, especially the poor Baha'is and the Jews and others, other minorities and other groups, including Muslims and Shias.
It really is an interesting time, just as a sidebar, guys. I mean, we don't have a representative of somebody who would be supporting the regime right now and who disagreed with all with the attacks on by Israel, et cetera. So that opinion's not here. But just between the three of us, with you two, it's an interesting moment to have the guy booked on the show as the Democrat arguing, why didn't we take out more of the leaders, and the Republican saying, well, we got to take time and do this. Bijan, do give us your response on this. I'm actually very curious about your thoughts on why the decision around Khamenei. Why not go there? Is it what Ari said? Is it concerns about past interventions that have gone awry?
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to respond to the questions that Ari asked very directly. Ari says, why didn't you take out other top commanders? Well, I don't pretend to have the precise answer to that, but let me offer you this, see how this would be received by you. Let me ask you a question. Do you think, without the cooperation of senior officers and intelligence chiefs, that the important guest of Ayatollah Khamenei in the heart of Tehran, in his bed, could be eliminated?
I see where you're going, yeah.
Do you think without the cooperation of many senior officers, Qasem Soleimani's exact locations, time of moving was going to be determined and he eliminated? Do you think that taking out the top echelon of commanders without cooperation from other commanders is feasible? I don't think so. I think there is a part of the apparatus of military and intelligence inside Islamic Republic which has come to a conclusion that you're trying to argue against so hard, Jian, that they're in power and they're in charge. No, they're not in power. They're not in charge. They are in times of very, very, very fantastic defeat. I ask you this question. When a foreign minister of a country has to get permission to leave the country from a foreign power, do you still call that staying in power? Ridiculous. That is ridiculous. No. Why didn't they take out Khamenei? Well, if you have a situation where you have someone who has a position of divine robe that he's wearing, why do you want to kill him? Make him martyr? No, you take the divine robe off. You take his insignia off that signifies him as a man of God. He is not a man of God. He is a liar. He is a despicable murderer. Everybody knows around him. You want to know why some of the commanders survive? Think about it. Why? Could it be that they're saying, look, we can take care of this myself. What do you want to do? Kill 90 million people in Iran and continue being in power? That is not sustainable, Jian. I know. My heart goes out even with one civilian getting killed. One mother losing a child is a disaster, is a tragedy, of course. But let's get real. This is a war. Two sides to it. You declare solidarity with Khamenei and his remaining people, or you declare on the side of the Iranian people who, how are they going to tell you, journalists and analysts, 80% of the people in Iran don't want the Islamic Republic. Get with it. Come on, listen to them. Don't try and
hang on a second. First of all,
it's not what they want.
That is what I mean. I've done. You know this. Well, it's got to be dozens, maybe hundreds of shows parroting that exact statistic. I am not. I'm not vociferously.
Islamic Republic, Jian. You don't want to believe it.
I'm not vociferously arguing against the points you're making necessarily. What I am saying is, you seem to, and you've done this quite with some regularity, and I applaud your conviction around this, but you seem to have you're seeing this in a very positive way as far as those who want to see regime change in Iran, and not necessarily imposed from outside regime change, but the opportunity for the people.
That's all you think about. Follow the regime. I said that's what you think about, continuity of the regime. So yeah, that's a contrast. Yes.
Well,
I am for the follow.
I'm for the purposes of this conversation, I'm representing those who don't feel as optimistic as you do, because it's been 46 years, and what we see right at this moment.
That's their prerogative. They can lull themselves into sleep, thinking things are still going to be exactly the same way. Just continue doing the stealing of people's money by those who stay in power. Everybody stays, everybody continues to eat, everybody's happy. I don't think so.
What you're telling us to just to clarify, you want us to believe that President Trump, for example, doesn't want the status quo in terms of this regime being in power in Iran, right? That's what you're arguing? You're saying this is part of some master plan that
people of Iran have power. Don't ignore it. It's not what President Trump wants. It's what people of Iran want. And President Trump understands that clearly.
Well, one of the biggest issues with the people of Iran being able to rise up or create any kind of change has been the enabling of this regime by Western power. If you agree with that,
that's President Biden.
Okay. Well, the concern is that might continue under somebody who's saying, let's do a deal and let's sell oil.
I hate to do this, but President Trump just saved the regime from absolute collapse. I mean, it's just a fact. To argue that a regime that still runs the prisons, runs the intelligence agencies, runs the joints, kills people, picks up people, controls the country's borders, is not in charge. Remember that $6 billion they gave for releasing those hostages? That's still sitting in a Qatari bank. Trump, there's a tweet from a few weeks ago, he wanted to release that. Trump is the one who wants to ease sanctions. You allow Trump, he's going to roll the red carpet the same way he did for Kim Jong-un. All I want to say is this: Republican or Democrat, I come out and I say Democratic Party is wrong on so many issues. Trump has been awfully wrong on Iran. If we believe in regime change, if we believe at least in decapitating the regime, getting rid of the top brass of the IRGC, getting rid of Khamenei, Trump, unless he's forced to, he's not the right man. The J.D. Vances of the world, the MAGA crowd, they're isolationists, they could care less. And I wish there were more voices like Bijan Kian or Marco Rubio or Mike Waltz or so on and so forth, or Lindsey Graham for that matter, in the administration, but they're not. And President Trump, left to his own device,
let's bring Kamala Harris back to solve all the problems.
Again, see, that's a fallacy of whataboutism. What about Hillary's emails? What about Kamala Harris? Kamala was a disaster on foreign policy. Biden was not that great, but President Trump saved Khamenei's life on a couple of occasions. He saved his regime from collapsing. He's going to ease sanctions. He's easing sanctions already on Russia. This is just reality, and it pains me to say this, but it's reality. I did not defend Biden or Harris here once, and again, the fallacy of
the facts doesn't match the facts. It's your emotions. I respect it. You have good reasons to be able to present that argument, but look at his actions and the result of the action. What has happened to Islamic Republic over the past 2 weeks is not reversible.
They could have collapsed, and he stopped.
Well, you could say that. You could say that, but it's not done yet.
Okay, I hope you're right. I truly hope you're right.
I don't know, but I won't say it with as much confidence as you say that Trump made a mistake. Maybe Trump made a mistake. We'll know later. It's too early to talk about a situation that is so fluid.
Would you have, if you were in the Oval Office and Netanyahu called and said, I got coordinates for Khamenei's whereabouts, and the president said, no, save his life, would you have advised against it? Would you have said, Mr. President, it's time to take Khamenei out? Or would you have said, let's go hit him, decapitate the snake? I just want to know what your advice would have been. My advice would have been, Mr. President, hit him, hit all his bodyguards, hit everybody around him, turn that place into rubble, turn his compound into a parking lot with broken glasses.
Hey, I like what I'm hearing from you, Ari. That's
But President Trump stopped
music to my
Netanyahu from doing
ear.
that.
But why is that not happening? May have reasons that you and I are not aware of.
I hope.
So
Okay.
to try and to think that we know everything that's going on, I don't know. I don't know if I can give myself that.
I'm just
Just
saying
put
based
the
on the
facts
facts,
together.
based on the
Just put
facts
the
that are.
facts together.
You're
Islamic Republic will never be what it was 2 weeks ago. That means, okay, what does that mean? Weaker or stronger? Very simple,
No, weaker, but it could have
straightforward,
been
almost
non-existent. It could
digital.
have been
Zero or
gone.
one. Stronger or weaker? If it's
It could have
weaker,
been. It could
I
have.
say it's good.
It could have been a regime on the run, Bijan John. Again, my question is: you
It
get
is
the
a regime
call.
on the run right now, but you
They're,
don't.
they're running the cities. They're killing people. If that call was coming and you were Deputy National Security Advisor, the position you had, would you tell the president, Mr. President, don't stop Netanyahu. Let's go kill Khamenei, or you would say, you know what, let's stop it. And I understand the argument, but based on the facts that I see, he saved Khamenei's life and he brags about it. I would
If
have
I
said,
were if I were the president, I would fire my intelligence chief who comes in and says, "Oh, your bomb didn't work. It was built for 60 meters. The hole was 8." I would say, "Wait a minute. Did you know that before? You didn't tell me to make me look bad afterwards and make this announcement." I'll fire that chief. That's the first thing I will do. The second thing I will do, I will ask my other intelligence chief, "Did you say Islamic Republic has no intention of building a bomb?" Come on. Really?
that's
Seriously?
Tulsi Gabbard,
Where'd you
right?
get that from?
I'm with you on that. Let's get rid of Tulsi Gabbard, maybe Ratcliffe as well. Let's just because Tulsi is
I'm
another
just
one of
saying,
those.
I'm just saying I asked the question, and I asked that question publicly. I wrote a letter at 3 o'clock in the morning to the President of the United States, and I thought I'd make it public by tweet. I said, what was the deal? 60 meters, 80 meters? Did you know? Did you not know? There's something going on here, and that is something it cannot be ignored. It's a fact. It's a fact.
Bijan John.
It's like everybody is now saying Trump is wrong. Let's get Trump. Trump is not at issue here. The realities. Israel is not going to listen to Trump. Israel would do what is good for the Israelis and Israel. They're not going to listen to Trump. They have not done that in the past. Trump wanted to show power and say, turn those planes back, and he's known for that, of course. I cannot sit here and endorse every single action by Trump. That is not my intention.
Okay.
What I'm arguing for is you making an environment of things could have been so much better if Trump had not entered this war and if Israel hadn't hit Iran. I cannot agree with that. You're saying democracy was moving fast and strong, and this war stopped it. Give me 5 reasons that democracy.
I never said
No,
those words at all.
I didn't hear that at all.
I never said those words at all. Not at all. I said this. I said Israel defied the president, attacked Iran. The president was caught off guard. He went along with it because he doesn't want to be on the losing side of anything. Then he said, all right, well, Benjamin, I'll bomb the nuclear facilities, but you got to stop this. I don't want to go into another war. So he saves the regime. He stops Netanyahu from killing Khamenei. I did not say one word that the war stopped some democracy move or anything. All I want.
No, Jian was asking that question. He was saying,
I didn't say that either.
The democracy movement. What democracy movement, Jian? Where'd you get that from?
I didn't. I said has the ceasefire, has the way this ended set the movement back. What do you mean? What democracy movement? You're the one who believes that there is one. You're the one who believes that the people of Iran, Reza Shah.
The behavior of the Islamic Republic in Iran, not the people. Democracy movement was alive. It will stay alive. People lost their lives for it. How could we say there was no? The effort has to be divided.
People are once again terrified, as Ari has talked about, to go out in the streets. We talk to them. They're inside Iran.
We're in touch with. That's a stupid idea.
What's that?
It is a stupid idea to send people in the streets when they're going to be shot at. All they have to do is come out and show the world they don't want this regime.
Okay.
Nobody is encouraging people to go to the streets to get shot.
First of all, Bijan, you're much more accommodating when Ari disagrees with you than you are when I do.
Because he likes me a lot, and I love him, so that's why.
I thought we were old friends as well, Bijan.
You know,
But-
he's been a teacher
John, you're
of
a
mine
great
and
journalist.
mentor of mine
Ari
for years.
has been around military. He understands the strategy.
All right.
You're
All
an
right.
artist. You're a
I'm just a
wonderful
simple
person
journalist artist. You got it.
who
Yeah.
Create the argument. I cannot agree with you, but I can agree with Ari.
Can I
because
ask you a direct? I know I can't keep you guys here forever. Let me ask you a direct question. A couple of final questions. Bijan, you were, I'm assuming, I think as I remember, you were a vociferous opponent of the JCPOA. Yes.
that is correct.
Okay. Do you believe that with the Trump administration currently, there will be no deal of that kind made?
Let me tell you what kind of a deal I believe will be made. Let's say the deal is made to open the embassies, normalize the relations, resume trade and investment, but also remember we have something called FCPA. And Ari would explain to you what that environment is going to look like. There would be no Islamic Republic if there is to be trade and investment in Iran. Absolutely not. That's the ultimate, isn't it? That's the ultimate. JCPOA was a press release. It was not worth the paper it was written on. There were 17 side agreements that, Jian, you need to look into. In fact, you want to find something interesting? I'll send you on a chase. Locate 17 side agreements signed alongside of JCPOA. And by the way, I'm allowed to tell you, these documents are not classified. They were not classified ever. So they're available. Find them. Talk about them. Maybe a new window will be open in line with the responsibility of a respected journalist like you with a fantastic program.
I'm not.
to open that Pandora's box.
I'm not asking for I'm not advocating for the JCPOA. I am suggesting, as I have on this program and a number of times in recent weeks, that my concern would be that there's going to be another deal that's not that dissimilar made by Trump. Ari, what's your thought on that?
I think Bijan Kian brought up FCPA, Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. I sort of came across my first summer as a law student when I got a job at a firm in DC, and it became a little practice of ours. And I think that is such a savvy, interesting way of looking at things that, okay, well, FCPA is short for Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, by the way. What it means is you bribe a foreign official, and the foreign official is defined very broadly. And bribe is you cause foreign corruption. You could bribe a foreign official; it can be prosecuted here. Actually, one of the very early cases, Bijan Kian, was Lockheed Martin and Boeing. I think they were selling weapons to the late Shah of Iran, and they went around and bribed a few people, and then the big ones in Egypt and so on and so forth. I say this: so long as you got Ali Khamenei at the helm, and so long as you got this mafia IRGC spiderweb, it's very hard to deal with these people. The same way you don't negotiate with Hezbollah, the same reasons you don't negotiate with Hamas. For a long time, we believed Islamic Republic, and I still say so, it's not suicidal, but it's definitely homicidal. And it will kill as many people as it can. It will kill Americans, Iranians, Iraqis, Jews, you name it, for them to stay in power. Look at what Khamenei is doing. If we had a chance to take him out, take out his compound, take out his upper echelon, take out every single advisor around him who's hiding in his hole, we should have done so. We didn't. We dropped the ball. And I hope one day we find out that, you know what, maybe...
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. All I don't know is why and the many reasons
I'm with you on that.
not to make a martyr. Maybe. I don't know. I agree with you. I would love that.
Well, if the reason why would be, I'll continue dealing with this regime because I'm okay with some dictatorships on the other side of the world that I can do business with. That would be the reason.
As long as they don't create a persistent threat to my most important ally in the Middle East, that is not a very wise determination. I would not go there.
If you guys were to speculate, just to end off here, if you were to speculate where this is going, I mean, do you, Ari, last word to you, Bijan, let me ask Ari first. Do you believe that we're now in a post 12-day war, as it's been called by some, era where of relative sort of quiescence of status quo now that is going to exist for a little while? Or do you think that that fragile ceasefire that you talked about is going to be broken, and that there's more sort of spectacular events to come in the near future? And then the same question to Bijan.
I'll answer very shortly, and the answer is I don't know. I don't think there is peace. I think there's a ceasefire. Israel can strike any time, and that door is left open. Benjamin Netanyahu is coming out here next week. We'll see what the president has in mind. But I think, given his experience, and also Bijan had access to much more classified stuff than any of us ever did. So I want to hear his take. That let's say, oh yeah, yeah, that's exactly why I know you had. Yeah, that's exactly why you had the access. You don't remember. So if you don't recall, but I want to know, what are the possibilities? Is this going to be status quo negotiation, keeping a weak regime in power and then hitting it every time they want to deliver missiles? Or no, going for regime change? Or no, saying, hey, get rid of Khamenei and then we're going to normalize the regime? I think two are bad options. One is a less bad option. But again, I just don't know what's going to happen. It's really hard to predict.
Bijan.
Ceasefires are, by their very own nature, a diplomatic tool that are not sustainable. I haven't seen a reliable ceasefire yet that I can use as a point of reference, Jian. So that's for that. Ceasefires are, fragile and vulnerable, and they're not sustainable. So let's not focus on ceasefire. Let's focus on change in Iran. I believe regime change is the absolute right of the Iranian people, not something that a leader of the free world like President Trump could take on as a charter. No, I don't believe that. I believe change of regime in Iran is absolutely 100%, without a doubt, will take place by the hand of the Iranian people. They've had it. You may want to question this 80% or more dissatisfied population, but no government can stay in power with over 80% of its populace not wanting it anymore. So that's my determination. That is my reason why I believe the people of Iran will change this regime. And look, President Trump maybe didn't want to go down in the history as someone who made a decision for the Iranian people. Maybe he believes that it's really, and if you don't believe me, listen to Morgan Ortega's before or Tammy Bruce now, that says President Trump is definitely believing in the absolute right of the Iranian people to change a regime they no longer want. So I bet on that, Jian. I bet on the regime not lasting. Let me say this as I end this statement. The regime of Islamic Republic will not exist in exactly the way we've known it before. It does not exist. Now, do we expect that one day we wake up and there is a complete change in Iran? No, I don't think so. I think change is a process. Dr. Kissinger told me one day when I asked him, why don't you guys say regime change? He looked at me with that very penetrating eye and said, do you think change is an event or is a process? I knew then, Jian, that I'd asked the wrong question. Change is a process. It's not done yet. Let's wait and see what the next move is going to bring in. My belief, people of Iran are going to win. Definitely, for sure.
Gentlemen, it's such a pleasure to have you both on as ever, and I want to hopefully we can do this again and more regularly.
Happy to sit with you,
always happy to come and beat me up. A very quick question, just because
he works out.
He does, clearly he's robust. A very quick question, just because it's something that has preoccupied my mind and something we've talked about on the show in the recent last couple of weeks. Just I'm curious to get this a response from you, Ari, on this. Based on what you were seeing in the culture, we're in a very strange moment that, based on some of it is fallout of political polarization that has occurred as a result of the Israel-Gaza situation. Some of it is just sheer ideological. What do you make of the fact that the Islamic Republic regime, Khamenei even, have become something of a cause célèbre for some of the lefts, for some of these protesters that kind of migrated from maybe pro-Palestine, free Palestine, to now supporting the Islamic Republic as if these are freedom fighters or something. It's been very disturbing to see that for the first time really in my life at protests here in Toronto and things like that. Post placards of Ali Khamenei as if he's the new Mandela. What do you make of that? Because some of it's happening in your party in the States.
Mandela just shook in his grave a little bit after you said that. So, he's just spinning a little bit. You see that also on the extreme right. You see Tucker Carlson and, they and on the left for that matter, you see, Code Pink. They're jokes. They're jokesters. I mean, you have some people just with whatever America does are against it. I think especially in sort of the Iranian political, and the Iranian side, or just let's talk about in general. I think sometimes, and America isn't always right. No, we've made mistakes and we'll continue to make mistakes. But then you lift the finger to do whatever, there's always going to be a protest. And sometimes the cause celebrates Hezbollah. Sometimes it's the, Baader Brigades or the Red Faction. Sometimes it's Che Guevara, who brutally murdered how many innocent villagers. There was a reason Bolivians gave him up to the CIA on a silver platter, because he was going around executing local villages who were not bound down. Castro got rid of him. Let's just put it this way. I'm a Democrat. I'm not a leftist. There's a big difference. I'm a liberal, but I'm not a leftist. There's a huge difference in something when they call you chapo, and there's nothing wrong with being a lefty. I mean, you have every right to be as far left as a communist, as far right as a fascist. You have that right in this country. I fall in the middle, center, on social issues, more progressive, on foreign policy, and on especially civil liberties, on a more libertarian conservative side, libertarian civil liberties side, but on a foreign policy, again, John McCain, Joe Lieberman. America has a duty and has interest in being the leader of the world. And by dropping the ball, we're going to pay for it later. America first, whether it means let's go word Shafias and have Khamenei flags or Khamenei banners and be like, yeah, America, everything it does is wrong. And you see plenty of that in Toronto and Vancouver and LA and Seattle. See that all over. It's just America bashing is fun. It's cool. It's chic for some. But again, had it not been the American protected post-World War II order, guess what would have happened? I think a lot of people in Europe would be speaking Russian today, if not German for that matter. So let's just be frank. My problem with President Trump is not that he's too aggressive. It's just that he's not aggressive enough, and that, a lot of rhetoric, not a lot of action. Problem with the last guy was, I think he was sort of, kept unaware of a lot of stuff, and his top brass, from National Security Advisor to SecDef to Secretary of State, not SecDef. Bijan Kian knows this intimately well. So he's the commander of CENTCOM, Central Command, General Kurilla. And he's a Ranger. And in the Ranger community, I was talking to a couple of Rangers the other day. It's like we called him Kurilla the Gorilla. He's an aggressive sort of 4-star, So I think he's a first at first. I don't know, but whatever. So Kurilla the Gorilla. He recommended how many times after Iran hit our forces, our interests, our boys, killed 3 American soldiers from Georgia National Guard. There's so many drone attacks by its proxies. What did Biden do? Not a whole lot. And I was criticizing him then. I think finally somebody listened to General Kurilla's advice. That wasn't President Trump. It was Netanyahu. And he hit him. Day 61, he hit him. I don't think General Kurilla gave that advice directly to Netanyahu, but Netanyahu knew that is the advice he's taking to the White House. You got to hit these guys. You can't negotiate with Khamenei and the RGC. You got to hit him, and you got to hit him hard. But you got to make sure whatever you do to protect those civilians. And that's why I said go after Khamenei. He's not holed up. He's in some bunker, and we can reach it. We can hit it. Get him out. Destroy him, and he's not going to be a martyr. He's going to be as much a martyr as Qasem Soleimani and Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah, and for some regime supporters, and they're gonna collapse. And by the way, last but not least, for years, regime advocates here in the form of NIAC and now the Quincy Institute, they said, you touch the regime, they're going to shut down the Strait of Hormuz. World War III chaos. They didn't do a damn thing. Again, interested in survival. You hit them hard, they back down and they fold. Every day they launched fewer missiles than the day before, ballistic missiles against Israel. U.S. got involved, and again, it should have done more so. But then they told us we're going to hit the Qatari airbase. no one was there. They launched, 14 missiles, all symbolically. But again, the Quincy types and the Nyack types that have been in bed with this regime, and now they're either defeatist or they have, and I say
they're getting a lot of airtime on CNN. I'll tell you that.
They're plenty. And by the way, roll the dice, bring another defamation lawsuit. I'll in my bread and butter. So they are absolute advocates for the interests of not the Islamic Republic of Iran, but for the Russian Federation. There was Joe Cernicione, a senior fellow at Quincy, left a couple of years ago because the likes of, don't want to even mention his name, are absolute America haters, apologists for the Russian Federation, for the Qatari money, and for the Iranian regime. So shut down the Strait of Hormuz, take out the Fifth Fleet, none of that happened. A humiliated, defeated regime, but still in power domestically. That's my problem with them. Take them out.
Very, very briefly, Bijan, your any reflections on the specter of Khamenei posters being carried in protests around the world?
My only reflection is that it's a delightful moment when a Democrat balances the program in favor of the Republican who gets less time than the Democrat. It's a beautiful moment. Well, I don't have any reflections. I agree with Ari. I think this is what needs to happen. He is right. And Khamenei has to be taken out. The whole regime has to be taken out. And what I would say in the end is be patient. We're not done yet. Trump knows what Trump is doing. Trump has no intention of keeping Islamic Republic in power. It makes no sense to say that, to suggest that, to create this doubt in people's mind is nothing short of unconscionable. Jian, I think we need to look at facts and not speculate and wait and see what happens. Iranian people are going to win. That's how I end this.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. I didn't give Ari more time. He filibustered. That's what they do, the Democrats. You know that.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
I'll be happy to come back and talk to you and talk to your listeners. You have a great program, Jian, and your 376th program may be an important one.
By the way,
thank you for it.
Bijan remembered the count of the number, but he doesn't remember any classified information. I just want to let you know. Just remember that part, Just, okay.
It's actually 379. He was off by 3.
Gentlemen, still, he knew that much, He remembered that much.
Thank you again. See you guys soon. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jian. Thank you, Ari.
Khodafis.
Khodafis.
Thank you to Bijan and Ari. The conversation will no doubt inspire some comments. Once again, you can reach us directly at info@roqemedia.com, info@roqemedia.com, or post your thoughts or your comments on any of our platforms. We always like to hear from you guys. And this is full time for Roqe for today. Thank you to the amazing team who put this show together each week. Super Patty Suss, Savvy Roham, Tina the photo and video queen, and the talented Anahita. Special thanks to Charming Kimia, the CK, Smart Pega, Methodical Kave, and thanks to the TRK, the Rising Kian, for your help. Thank you to all of you out there for supporting us and sharing our content. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already. It's easy. You can go to any of those platforms, wherever you're listening to this or watching this on right now. If you haven't subscribed already, press subscribe, and you can actually support us even further on our website if you press the Support Us button. So if you've made it this far into the show, you might be a supporter. Help us out. Press support us at roqemedia.com. You can find me on Instagram at Jian Ghomeshi. And as ever, please, 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 Mizun Bashi.